Take my shoes off. Found love, what are we gonna do with it? Now that we found love, what are we gonna do with it? Do you know, that's a really interesting observation. Now that we've found love, what are we going to do with it? Think about that. Have you ever found love? And what do you do with it when you've got it? How do you hold on to it? Because it's an energy, and it's a new energy that most people don't even know what you mean. What is love? What do you mean? Is it a feeling? Is it an energy? Is it something tangible? Is it a person? You know, what is love? Nobody really knows what love is because everybody looks at love in a different way. Oh, I'm in love with my car. Really? Well, it's just a car. Yeah, but I love it. Is it love or is it attachment? Same with relationships, same with soulmates, all of these things that people think, oh, it's my soulmate. Maybe it's not your soulmate. Maybe it's somebody you met in a distant past of that you were friends in another world that you came from. Maybe you recognize each other from the spirit world, and that you were friends there, or you were friends from another spirit dimension. Who knows? It could be deep-rooted trauma that you think that you're in love with someone, you found your soulmate, but maybe it might not be that. It may be that you are in such pain and suffering of past, of trauma, that you are recognizing this love as, oh, this is love, this is my soulmate. Maybe it's deep trauma that you haven't healed from. There's so many aspects of love that we don't really truly understand. And so many people are confused by the word love. And so many people live in a relationship for 5 years too long because I'm in love with this person, but I should have left 5 years ago. It's so interesting. So now that we've found love, what are we gonna do with it? It's great. It's brilliant. What are you gonna do with it? What do you do with it? Because could it just be a fad? Could it just be 3 months and then, maybe I wasn't in love? You know what I mean? What is love? What it genuinely, if you were to ask me after all the things I've learned from people that I've studied with the thousands of clients, what is love? Love is only something inside you that you can create by clearing away the pain and suffering and all the trauma that you've had over the years. And that, my friend, is a battle, is an uphill struggle, is a challenge that you're going to have to conquer to get to the top of your mountain. The good news is that each day that you work on yourself, each day that you climb that mountain by looking at yourself and saying, I deserve to feel better, okay? Looking at yourself and saying, I am a beautiful soul, because you are. Only one person you can really truly trust. The one person that you can really say you know is you. So it's vital that you work on your love, you work on you, and it's all about truth. It's all about looking at yourself without this judgment bullshit, without the guilt, without the depression, without the what me, why me. All of that stuff needs to go. That's programming. You were born on this planet to walk this earth in love. You were born to walk in love. And that's what you need to work on. How do you hold on to love when you feel it? Well, it doesn't work like that, because that's a feeling, that's not love. Love is something that is just resonating within you and around you all the time, and it grows. It doesn't get weaker, it grows and grows. Okay, you may say to me, yeah, but I got punched in the face yesterday and I don't feel love. That's different. That's an energy of attack. Attack is very powerful, and it can cause a lot of negativity around you. I'm talking about generally from day to day. If you're just walking a path, you're not hurting anybody, you're not trying to do anything remarkable, you're just living an earthly life. You wake up in the morning, you eat, drink, sleep, work, and then you go home. That energy in between all that day, do you walk in love? Do you feel love? I got a lovely email this morning from a beautiful little soul. I don't know how old she was. But what a beautiful message. I wish I could play it to you guys. I don't know I don't think I can play it to you, because if I switch off here and try to play that, this will turn off. But it's a little girl who says, "Hiya, Mark. I'd like you to come over to Ireland. I'd like you to come to the beach, and I'd like to show you my crystal collection, and I'd like to show you some athletics on the beach, and we can meditate together. And if you don't mind, it would be nice to have a sleepover." Seriously, like, oh my God. And sometimes I have to remember not to swear, because sometimes I should, I swear and I shouldn't, because I do have a few people who like to listen, and they're very young, so I have to behave myself and be careful, because it's not good to swear. If you're watching this now, beautiful soul, it's not good to swear. You can use other words. So just slap my wrist and say, "No, don't do that, don't swear." But yeah, so if you're watching, beautiful soul, this morning we were all at the office, we were all like, oh my God, we all melted. And it's like, so we are preparing a lovely gift box of crystals and lovely things for you, which will be heading its way this morning for a beautiful email and the kindness. And I will come to Ireland one day soon when I'm able to go with all the restrictions lifted, so I don't want to do a PCR test at all. I don't want anything stuck up my nose. So hopefully when all that is done, I'll come and say hello, I promise. But yeah, the love, interesting love. I think a lot of us are walking in a path that we believe we're looking for something that is not there because it's external. I will feel better when I have a house. I will feel better when I have a boyfriend or girlfriend. I will feel better when I have whatever it is. And that is a temporary energy, because once you've got it, it's gone. And I said this, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I spent all my years from being 19 years old to 50 years old, and I used to, like most guys, most men turn and look at beautiful women. Well, I used to turn my head and look at beautiful mobile homes, okay? And I used to see a mobile home, and I used to look at it and think, oh, that person in there is so lucky. I used to look at them and think how lucky and free they must be. And it's remnants of the memory of going on holiday, the most beautiful time, sometimes the most painful time, but going on a holiday with my mum and dad in a mobile home, a caravanette, a Volkswagen caravanette, and going to Poland and travelling and waking up in the morning or at night listening to all the trucks going beep, beep, deliberately, and my dad would go, I'm not going to swear, it's Polish, he used to say shakrev, and I don't know what it means, but I think it's probably a bad word, right? And I used to laugh when he said it, I used to giggle because I know that the guys driving 24 hours, right, were having a laugh because we were sleeping. So I used to giggle, and my dad would say, "Shut up." That was his word, "shut up." All right. So I'd giggle more, right? But the only time I was affected when my dad used to shout at my mum because my mum got it wrong on the map, and he'd go crazy, and my mum would cry, and that was heartbreaking it was. But the rest of the journey were lovely because we'd wake up in the morning, my dad would make scrambled eggs, and we'd all eat scrambled eggs with fresh bread, and we'd look outside, and I'd walk and look at all the nature and smell the different smells of each country we'd go through, Germany, Holland, to get to Poland, you know, and it was so beautiful. So the memory of that was every time I saw a mobile home, a caravanette, a mobile home, I'd dream one day I'd love one. One day my dream is to have a mobile home, okay? So every day when I saw a mobile home, it brought this kind of joy to me, this kind of feeling of past, a feeling of freedom and all that. Anyway, it wasn't until a few years ago that my business, people started to recognize my crystals and said these are different, they feel different than just a crystal. So people started to buy them, and then Hollywood stars started to buy them, Disney stars started to buy them and wear them, and my business grew from a little business, me and one girl, and we grew to now we've got about 20 staff all over the world, and we're doing really well, and I work 24/7 basically on crystals. Thank you so much. So 4 years ago, my accountant says, you can buy a mobile home. You've got the money to afford a mobile home. And I'm kind of, really? He said, yeah, go and look. And I'm like, oh my God, like nervous. So I went to look at all these expensive mobile homes. I'm like, I can't afford that. This is my talk. I can't afford talk, okay? I've been drilled that all my life. Anyway, down in Fuengirola, a company was going bankrupt. I didn't know this. And I went in and I says, oh, these 3 mobile homes, are any of them for sale? He says, yeah, the company's going bust. And this was just when the craziness had started of the Maxine. And I said, how much is that one? And it should have been 60,000. And my accountant went to negotiate, and we got it for 37. Now I know it's a lot of money, but it wasn't brand new, it was 2 years old. Today, I could sell that mobile home for 50,000. Now, no problem. I've been offered loads of money for it because people want mobile homes. I didn't realise that. But the point being, I got that mobile home and I went off to Czech Republic twice to buy Moldavites, big supply of Moldavites. Basically, I don't know, 5,000 Moldavites. And then the next time I went and bought something like 3,000 Moldavites from the Czech Republic. So I got a massive supply of Moldavite, and on my way there I was stopping and having scrambled eggs and doing, reacting everything that I did when I was a kid. And to finalise on this point that I'm trying to make, the dream that you dream is more powerful than the dream that comes true. Because I have a mobile home sat doing nothing, and I don't go out in it anymore. It's just sat there. And that feeling of mobile homes, when I see a mobile home now, is gone. And you might look at me and think, well, you're a spoiled brat, or you're selfish, or you don't appreciate these things. I appreciate everything. I'm not selfish, and I love people, and I love life, and I'm am I spoiled? Maybe a little bit spoiled I was when I was a kid, so my mum gave me everything that I wanted, but then when she died, my dad didn't give me anything, so I thought, okay, well, I've got a choice here. I have nothing, or I work and start thinking about how to make money and how to do business, right? Or else I'll never have the things that I used to have. So you all know how I started, which is the back of my garden. There was a tennis court, and it was just by accident. I got a tennis ball and threw it over, and because they play tennis, and sometimes the tennis balls would come over to my side. So I remember one day they were all playing, because there was 3 courts, and I threw one ball over, and the lady said, "Thank you so much." Then I found one a few minutes later, tucked away in between a bed of, I think, cabbages. But when I lifted it up, it was very clean, but underneath it had soil damage. Anyway, I just threw it over, and the lady says, "Oh dear, oh my dear, please, if any of the balls are damaged like this, please don't throw them over." And I said, "What do you want me to do with them?" She says, "You keep them." That was the start of my business. I became a businessman. So I went around, I asked her, "Is it okay if I go around, all the way around, and pick up any of the balls and throw them over, if they're clean, and if they're not clean, I can keep them?" She said, "Absolutely." So from that day, remember, there's 3 courts playing tennis, and these people were knocking the balls over left, right and centre. So I'd leave it for 1 week, and I realised, leave it for 1 week. Left it for a week, went around, collected the fresh balls, threw them over, and all the balls which were mucky, I'd keep and go into the house. There were normally about 20, and I'd wash them, put them out to dry. When they were dry, put them in a bag, a really nice bag, walk up to Mrs. Singh's second-hand shop, and she said, "Hello dear, how are you doing today?" I'd say, "I'm alright, Mrs. Singh. What have you got for me today?" I said, "Got some tennis balls for you, Mrs. Singh." "Oh, they won't pay, they won't pay." That's what she'd say. I say, "Okay, what would you give me for them?" "I give you 10 pence. Remember, this was when I was 12 years old, going on 13. And I'd say, "Okay, Mrs. Singh." So I'd get £2. Now back then, spending money for children of my age was 10p a week or 20p a week, right? I got £2, right? So like, I got the taste of this. I've got £2, so I put my £2 at the side of me, of my bedroom. And one day I was walking along, and I saw, round the corner from the tennis court, I saw this white Bentley down a drive. It was really posh, and I saw this oldish man washing his Bentley, and I said, "Hello," and he said, "Hello, son." He says, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm okay, sir." And he said, "Do you want a job?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want to wash this car?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll show you how to wash it inside and out." And he said, "I'll pay you for it." I said, "Oh, thank you." And he said, "I've seen you before." He says, "Where do you live?" I said, "I just live behind you." He says, "Oh, good." So I ended up washing his 2 Bentleys. Took me all day, but he paid me £5 for washing 2 Bentleys. Remember, 20 pence was the normal spending for the week. This guy was the owner of a big company in Huddersfield, and the company was selling foods. So from there, I'd finished on Saturday afternoon about 4 o'clock, and with that £5 I went to the store just before it closed in Marsh, and I bought a bucket and a sponge and some shampoo, because he told me, use shampoo, don't use car cleaner because it's very soft. I went, "Oh, okay." So I started knocking on doors at 4:30 saying, "Would you like your car washed for £1?" And from that moment on, I built up a clientele of about 5 cars every week on the weekend. So I'd do about 4 cars on Sunday, and on Saturday I'd do 2 Bentleys and 1 car. So I've got like £10 coming in a week at 12 years old. That would be equivalent now to about £100 at 12 years old, right? I'd say it's probably equivalent to £200. So from there, right, I was getting I remember one lady was watching me cleaning the car, and it was outside, and she had a big house, and she came out and she says, "Would you like a drink, love?" And I went, "Oh, yes, please." She says, "I'm going to make you an orange juice." So she made me an orange juice, and she says, "You know, I've seen you working very hard. Would you like to clean my car?" And I said, "Well, I clean already 4 cars." And I said, "That normally takes me all day." I said, "But I could come after school." And she said, "That would be lovely." So she was a widow. So I came after school, and she lived very close to my school. And so when I finished school, I left the bucket on my way there to school. I said, "Can I leave my bucket and sponge here? Go to school." Okay. So I started cleaning her car. When I'd finished, I could see her in a garden, and the garden was big, and she was struggling. She was struggling to lift a rock that needed to be moved somewhere else. So I ran over, picked the rock up and moved it. And then she said, "You know what, dear, I'd love somebody to help me in the garden." So now I had a garden job, and I started doing gardens, cleaning, tidying gardens, sweeping, picking all the weeds. And she used to pay me £5 a week. So I used to go twice a week to do the garden. So now I'm on £15 a week when all my friends are on 20 pence. From there, it grew that I went to the bigger school. And I used to sell them for an extra like 10p. Than what they would sell in the shops, and I'd sell out. I remember getting into trouble, but one of the teachers, she really liked me, and she says, "Mark," she laughed, she says, "really entrepreneurial, but you can't really do that outside the tuck shop." And I said, "Why not?" She says, "Because it's unethical." And I said, "Why?" I said, "I'm not selling the same sweets as the shop's selling." She says, "It's a good point, but you're still taking away money from here." And then I realised, yeah, there's bullying, and there's no such business. Isn't really loving and kind. It's aggressive. It's negative. It isn't positive, really. Most businesses, nobody will share you their information on business and trying to help others. So you realise it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a cutthroat world kind of thing. But it didn't matter. I didn't stand anywhere near the tuck shop anymore. I left the tuck shop and stood outside where all the guys had smoked cigarettes, and they'd buy sweets off me. And people would come to me for sweets. And then I became an entrepreneur, because from that point on, everything that I did was about making money, and I used to store my money up. And actually, my son became the same person. He did the same thing. When I went to his house, because me and his mum split up, I went to his house and he'd stacked all his money up, and he had crystals. Believe it or not, he had crystals before I even knew anything about crystals. He was like 6 and 7 years old, and he'd collected crystals, and he knew more about crystals and Blue John and everything than I didn't know nothing about them. So that was really interesting, eh? But yeah, there's my little story today. I could go on, but I'm not. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a life of a young boy who used his common sense and his intuition when his mum died at 12. And I look back now and realise the reason why I might seem a bit spoiled is because my mum spoilt me in so many ways. However, when she died, I realised that part of my journey was to learn how to be independent and to learn how to create and fend for myself. And a lot of kids struggle with that, especially these days, to fend for themselves. My 2 children fend for themselves. They do extremely well, and they've got that inherent ability to get up in the morning and work and push themselves, and they've got that drive to help and make a difference in the world at the same time as making a living. What could be more beautiful than waking up in the morning and helping people in their life? They're both coaches, and seeing the change in humanity, seeing the change of a single human being coming stronger and happier. So we all kind of did the same thing. My son, my daughter ended up they're doing the same thing. They're helping people every day become stronger. So it's beautiful. There you go. Mark Bajerski spewing out stuff that nobody's really interested in. Nice to release. Thank you for letting me release. How much do I charge? How much are you going to charge me for that now? I should have had a bed. I should have laid down. Anyway, cheers, guys. That is orange, ginger, orange and ginger, that one. They've just started making them here at Banana Kitchen. So this was yesterday was can't remember what it was yesterday, but this is another different one, and tomorrow I'll take the healthy option. So there's the favourite, and then there's this one, and then there's a healthy option. Thank you for loving my story. Thank you so much. I hope it's brightened you up a little bit. And there are people out there who, even at times of pain, even at times of pain and suffering, the human body and the spirit within is resilient, is powerful, and heals and can heal and move on and become the stronger version, even at times of suffering, like losing your mum. You know, when you understand this field of work like I have over these 20 years, you truly understand the words. There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as death. Honestly, guys, there really isn't. Just the transition out of this limited spacesuit into pure love and bliss. Now, if you want to know what love is, that's love. Totally different ballgame. I didn't sell cigarettes, not a chance. There was only one time that I ever smoked a cigarette, and that was when a guy from Marsh, and his name was Foster, Adrian Foster. He had a new bike, and it was a rally grifter, and I fell in love with it. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. I said, could I ever go on your bike? And I remember he was sat down on the banking of Greenhead Park, and he says, you can do, but you have to have a drag of this cigarette. And I went, I don't smoke, I don't want to smoke. He says, well, if you want to go on the bike, you have to have a drag of this cigarette. So I was so excited, I went, coughed, spat it out, jumped on the bike and went round, and when I got back, he was like, where the hell have you been? I said, a little bike ride. He says, you've been 10 minutes. I said, oh, I'm sorry. And then I ran home and I said to, this is when I was like 10, I ran home and my mum said, what's wrong? I said, Mum, I want a rally grifter. I want a rally grifter. Please, please. And then it started there. That please became, I knew if I pushed the please every day, I'd get the rally grifter. And that Christmas, she got me the rally grifter. She worked like a dog. She had 3 jobs and she worked like a dog. and she got me the Rally Grifter. Yeah, there you go. No cigs for me. No, not at all. Not into that stuff. However, you're listening to a song that I did go off the rails when my first wife left me, and I went to clubs all over the world listening to this track and dancing